What's up? What's up? Have you ever wondered why so many men in today's world are completely different than what you used to be 100 years ago? Like, you look around at the men in today's world and you see something disturbing. I mean, you can feel that something isn't right. You want to know what that is? Bro, we are not men anymore. Not most of us, not in real sense of the word. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what happened and exactly why. And what do you have to do about it? So let me describe what a man used to be. They used to be brave, willing to sacrifice, to defend what he believed in, his family, his values, his faith, identity, even when defending it was costly, even when it meant conflict, even when it meant standing alone. And that man existed not long ago in our grandfathers, in men who came before them. And now look around. When someone attacks what you believe, your values, faith, your identity as a man, what do? Be honest with yourself. Most of you go quiet. You nod, you said,
Yeah, you're right, I see your point.
and you move on. You don't defend anything, you don't push back. You observe the attack and you smiled and you make sure nobody is uncomfortable. I've done it, man. I know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what it feels like. The path of least resistance, the retreat dress up as open-mindedness. And this is happening everywhere. Men are no longer defending masculine values. Men are no longer defending their faith. And I say this as someone who believes. When someone disrespects God, when someone openly mocks Christianity, the men in the room go quiet. They laugh along, they don't want to be the difficult one. We have become completely spineless. And I want to talk about why, because it didn't happen by accident. So one of the main reasons most men have become soft is because we have everything in those days, instantly, without effort, without leaving the house. Think about what your average day looks like for a lot of young men right now. You wake up, you don't have to hunt for food, you press a button on your phone and it arrives at your door. You don't have to go out into the world for entertainment, everything is on screen in your pocket. You don't have to earn connection or intimacy, it's available on demand artificially through a screen whenever you want it. Every need that a man used to have to fight for, to work for, earn, to go out into the world and struggle for is now available at the press of a button. And we think this is progress, we think this is good, harmless, but here is what nobody is saying. A man who has nothing to fight for becomes nothing. When there is no struggle, no growth, when there is no resistance, there is no strength. When everything is handed to you without effort, you become someone who is incapable of effort. Someone who collapses the moment real life, the real pain, real stakes arrives. And we joke about it, and that's what gets me the most. We sit in our rooms doing the things that we are destroying us, that are completely poisoning us, and we make it into content. We laugh about how many hours we game today, about how much pornography we consume. We turn out our degradation into a punchline and we call it personality. And I laugh, but it's nothing funny, bro. That is a man disappearing in real time while everyone around him applauds. I live with men like the group I used to call friends. I watch what a life without challenge produces. The emptiness, the irritability over nothing, the way of small inconvenience, dishes falling, something going slightly wrong, will produce a reaction completely disproportionate to what happened. Because when you have no real challenges, your tolerance of any challenges collapses to zero. A man who has never been punched down doesn't know how to take a punch. And I don't just mean physically. And now I'm going to say something that most people are going to disagree with. And I mean it completely seriously. In order to become a man, a real man, you must go to war. And now before you close the video, hear me out. There are people who will say,
But there are no wars anymore, that's a good thing, peace is always better.
and I understand why people think about that. And I'm not sitting here wishing for death and destruction, but I want you to think about something. If the next week, tomorrow, a genuine crisis arrives, something that required men to stand up and defend their families, communities, their country, something with real stakes, real danger. Bro, how many men do you know who will stand up Ask anyone on the street, generally ask them and watch what happens. A conflict, war.
Are you crazy? I'm not dying for anyone.
And that is the honest answer you will get from most young men today. Run, hide, and survive at any cost, including the cost of everything worth surviving for. And the men who will actually stand, the men who will look at the situation and say, I go first, I will sacrifice, this is my role. Those men exist, but they are not in the cities, they are not on social media. They are the old men from the countryside, the ones who still remember what it means to have something worth protecting, the ones who build their lives around responsibility and sacrifice instead of comfort and consumption. Those men are 1,000 times more masculine than most of what I see around me. 1,000 times. And I say this as someone who was on the wrong side of this for most of my life. So when I say to go to war, here's what I actually mean for you right now in the life you have. You have to find your war. If you can't go to an actual war, and most of you can't, then create the conditions of war in your life intentionally. Like go to the gym, not because it's fun, but because it's extremely hard, because it requires you to show up when you don't want to, because it builds the physical capacity that a man is supposed to have. Or go to a fighting gym, a combat sport, boxing, jiu-jitsu, something where another person is actively trying to defeat you, and you have to figure it out how to respond. There is nothing that develops a man faster than being in a room where someone is genuinely trying to beat you and you have to find a way to stand. The first time you get punched in the noise, really punched, not a play fighting, something changes in you. The fear of conflict shrinks, your tolerance of difficulty expands. You learn that you can take more than you thought, and that knowledge, that embodied physical knowledge, transfers to every other area of your life. And that's what a war does. That is why men need it, and we have been living without it for so long that we have forgotten what we are capable of. And here's the part that I think about a lot. None of this was taught to us. I didn't have a father figure. I grew up with a mother, and the men who passed through her life were, and I say this without malice, just honesty, feminized, as if not men in any meaningful sense, not models of anything I was supposed to become. And school did not teach it. School taught me to sit quietly, get good grades, make the adults comfortable. It rewarded compliance and punished assertion. It produced exactly the kind of harmless, manageable young men that I spent years being and years trying to escape. So how did I learn? The hard way. Through failure, through being dismissed, walked over, ignored, and dismissed again, through the slow, painful accumulation of experiences that eventually forced me to confront the gap between who I was and who I was supposed to be, and then through finding the right voices online, in books, in the kind of content that did not tell me I was fine as I was, but told me what I actually needed to hear. That is what this channel is. That is why I make these videos, because every young man deserves to hear what I eventually heard, not at 18 or 20 or 25 after years of going in the wrong directions, but now, early, before the wrong path has had years to compound. And you are watching this video, that already puts you ahead of most people of your age, because most people your age are consuming content that is making them softer. You're consuming content that is trying to make you harder, and that matters. Do not underestimate it. So what does all of this actually look like in practice? It comes down to one word, and it's a word that soft culture hates: accountability. A real man takes responsibility not for himself alone, but for the people around him, his family, future family, the people who depend on him. Think about your parents. Whatever they did or didn't give you, they made sacrifices, maybe enormous ones. And part of being a man is looking at that and deciding, I will take care of them, that is my responsibility, not because it's easy, but because it's right. And think about money, and I know the soft narrative says
money doesn't matter, that money is evil, that chasing it is shallow, and the real things in life are free.
That is a feminine perspective, and it's wrong for you. Money matters, not because things matter more than people, but because the process of building financial stability, the discipline, the skills, the accountability, the long-term thinking required is one of the most masculine things a man can do. When you chase money, money the right way, you learn to carry weight, you learn to think about others, employees, family, people who depend on your decisions. You learn that your choices have consequences beyond yourself. You learn leadership, and that is why the money chase actually teaches not greed but leadership. And leadership is the final piece of this. A truly masculine man is a leader, not a boss, but a leader. There is a big difference between those. A boss sits at the back and gives orders. A leader stands at the front and goes first. He is the one who sacrifices first. Like a leader in an army does not send his men into danger while he watches safely from behind. He goes first. He takes the risk. He bleeds first if someone has to bleed. That's the model. That is what we are supposed to be building toward. Not the man who sits at home with everything available at the press of a button. Not the man who falls when something goes wrong. Not the man who retreats when his values are changed. The man who goes first, who takes responsibility, who has something, he will die for it, came to that. That man is not born, but built through challenge, war, real or manufactured, through the daily decision to choose difficulty over comfort. And before I go, I'm going to give you some homework, actual homework. Like you have to watch 2 movies and watch them seriously, not as background noise, not while you're scrolling. Actually sit down and watch them. The first one is Fight Club. If you haven't seen it, watch it. And if you have seen it, watch it again with everything I said in this video in your head, because that film understood what was happening to men back in 99, and everything it described has only gotten worse since then. And there's a reason that film hit the way it hit. There is a reason it still hits. And the second one is All Quiet on the Western Front. This one is important for a different reason, because after you watch it, after you spend 2 hours inside what those men went through, the conditions they lived in, the things they faced, I want you to think about the last time you were annoyed, the last time something small went wrong and you reacted like it was a catastrophe. The dishes failed, the internet went out, someone said something that bothered you. And then think about what those men went through, what they endured, what they sacrificed, not because they wanted to, but because that was what the moment required of them. And then ask yourself, what are you capable of? The answer, if you're willing to do the work, is more than you think. Go find your world. I hope this made your life at least 1% better, and see you the next time.